What is up, you guys? Let's try this Impact Wrestling review again. So, to start off the show, we have the Motor City Machine Guns versus Triple XL in a tag team match. To start off the night, tonight on Impact Wrestling. This was a pretty decent to okay tag team match with the Motor City Machine Guns versus Triple XL to start off the night tonight for Impact Wrestling. This was a decent to okay tag team match to start off the night. I thought this match was okay. I thought this match was decent. It wasn't really that great of a tag team match. It really didn't. It really wasn't all that great. It was really nothing to write home about. This tag team match was just decent enough to pass to be a tag team match to start off the show tonight for Impact Wrestling. This match was decent enough to be just okay to be a tag team match. It really didn't do anything for me. I didn't really have no interest in this match, although I'm slowly becoming a fan of the Motor City Machine Guns day by day. I'm becoming a fan of those guys. But this was an alright to decent match between the Motor City Machine Guns and Triple XL to start off the show tonight for Impact Wrestling. I didn't really read too much into this tag team match. I thought it was decent. I thought it was just a decent enough to be an okay tag team match to start off the night for Impact Wrestling, which I had no care for. I thought it was just decent enough to be an okay to decent men's tag team match to start off the night tonight for Impact Wrestling with the Motor City Machine Guns versus Triple XL. I thought this tag team match was pretty decent for what it was. It wasn't really all that great. It wasn't nothing to write home about, but it was a decent to okay tag team match. I wouldn't really go back and rewatch this tag team match again. I really wouldn't, because it didn't really do anything to, like, say oh my god, to make me say oh my god. I would go back and rewatch that match again. I would not go back and rewatch that match again. I absolutely wouldn't. That's just my opinion. And the Motor City Machine Guns ended up picking up the win over Triple XL to start off the night for Impact Wrestling. And then we had the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament match tonight on Impact Wrestling with Jordiana Grace and Jazz versus Renee Michelle and Killer Kelly. And the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament match tonight on Impact Wrestling. This match really wasn't all. This women's tag team match wasn't really all that great. I like Killer Kelly. I'm a fan of Jordiana Grace. Both women deserve better, in my opinion. Both women do deserve better. I don't know. I mean, there's no women in this Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament that I have an interest in. I don't care for the women in this Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament. There's no women in the tournament that have my interest. I'm not really interested in the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament, and that's just me. I have no interest in this Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament. I just don't. There's nobody in this Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament that has my interest. So I just don't. I'm not really interested. I'm not really interested in the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament on Impact Wrestling. I'm just not really interested. I mean, there's really no women on that Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament. There's no women in the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament that have my interest right now. So, but we had Jordiana Grace and Jazz versus Renee Michelle and Killer versus Renee Michelle and Killer Kelly tonight on Impact Wrestling in the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament. This was a okay to decent Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament tonight on Impact Wrestling, which this match didn't do anything for me. I don't really care for these Knockout Women Tag Team Tournament matches. I just don't care for them. I really don't. This Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament match, it was just all right. I mean, it was all right. It was a decent Okay, women's knockout tag team tournament match tonight on Impact Wrestling with Jordiana Grace and Jazz versus Renee Michelle and Killer Kelly. This was an alright women's knockout tag team tournament match tonight on Impact Wrestling. I didn't really get much out of it. I mean, this match was what it was. I didn't really, care for it. I didn't really care that much for it. I mean, this match kind of bored me, to be honest. That match kind of bored me. I didn't really get much out of it. And Jordiana Grace and Jazz ended up picking up the win over Killer Kelly and Renee Michelle to advance in the Knockout Women's Tag Team Tournament. And then we had Johnny Swinger versus Cody Deaner. That match ended in a no contest. And then we had Rohit versus Crazy Steve. I didn't watch this match at all. I did not pay attention to this match at all because I knew Crazy Steve was going to end up losing this X Division Championship match with Rohit tonight on Impact Wrestling, which I just didn't care for. This match had no interest. I had no interest in this match between Rohit and Crazy Steve for the X Division Championship. I had no interest in this match because I knew Crazy Steve was not beating Rohit. Crazy Steve is just, I don't know what they're doing with him. He's just becoming a jobber at this point. I don't know why Crazy Steve is even in Impact Wrestling. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know what direction they have him going in, but Crazy Steve is nothing but a jobber. Rohit ends up beating Crazy Steve and retaining his X Division Championship tonight on Impact Wrestling. Crazy Steve just is a complete and utter jobber. He jobbed tonight to Rohit for the X Division Championship. Crazy Steve didn't stand a chance in this X Division Championship match. Crazy Steve didn't stand a chance. I knew this from the beginning. Crazy Steve is not that great of an in-ring competitor. He's just not. I enjoyed him more in the deletions with Matt and Jeff Hardy. I enjoyed when Crazy Steve was in the deletions with Matt and Jeff Hardy. But as far as an in-ring competitor, I don't like Crazy Steve. I just don't, man. The guy cannot work a match at all. And Rohit ended up going over Crazy Steve and retaining his X Division Championship. And then we had the main event, which was Chris Bay versus Willie Mack. I just didn't care for this main event. I didn't really care for it because, like I said, Impact Wrestling has ruined Willie Mack for me. I was a huge fan of Willie Mack on Lucha Underground. Willie Mack is dead to me on Impact Wrestling. I hate to say that because I was a huge fan of Willie Mack on Lucha Underground. I loved when Willie Mack was on Lucha Underground, but now I can't. I just don't like Willie Mack as an in-ring competitor. I don't. Impact has ruined him. They've buried him. I have no interest in Willie Mack or Chris Bay in this main event tonight on Impact Wrestling. I had no interest in this main event. Both guys are just But I mean, Chris Bay is a pretty decent in-ring competitor. Mack is a pretty decent in-ring competitor. Both guys are just average to decent. I didn't really care for this main event tonight on Impact Wrestling with Chris Bay versus Willie Mack. Willie Mack is dead to me because Impact Wrestling has no idea what to do with Willie Mack. They have no idea what to do with Willie Mack or how to book Willie Mack at all. So I didn't care for this main event tonight on Impact Wrestling between Willie Mack and Chris Bay. I just didn't care for this main event, man. I really didn't. Both guys are just average at best. Willie Mack is buried ever since he went to Impact Wrestling. He has went absolutely nowhere. Willie Mack is one hell of a competitor, I'll say that. But he's just buried at this point. Impact Wrestling has no idea what to do with Willie Mack. So And then Willie Mack hits a stunner on Chris Bay for the win. And that's how Impact Wrestling goes off the air. So the best part of the night for me tonight on Impact Wrestling was the Deonna Purrazzo segment when Deonna Purrazzo took out Su Yung and the Undead Bridesmaids and came out and they took the body of Su Yung. That was really cool. That was the best thing about Impact Wrestling tonight was when Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa, beat down Su Yung, and then the Undead Bridesmaids came and took the body of Su Yung. That was the best thing about Impact Wrestling tonight was Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa, beating down Su Yung, and then the Undead Bridesmaids came out after Deonna Purrazzo beat down Su Yung, and the Undead Bridesmaid came and took the body of Su Yung. That was the best thing about Impact Wrestling tonight. Like I said, the best thing about Impact Wrestling so far has been Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa. Deonna Purrazzo is absolutely killing it. She's the best thing about Impact Wrestling right now. Impact Wrestling overall, just their shows just lack for me. Their shows have no creativity. They're lacking. They're really lacking in star power. The biggest star that Impact Wrestling has right now is Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa, and Sami Callihan. Those are Impact Wrestling's two biggest stars. They're the only two big star power names that Impact Wrestling really has is Sami Callihan and the Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. Those are the only two big names and the two big star power names on Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling right now is they're just lacking creativity right now. They're not really doing nothing to stand out. They're not really doing anything to set themselves apart from anybody else. They're just kind of average right now. Their matches are average. I remember when TNA used to be awesome, man. I remember when TNA was doing deletions. I remember when TNA was doing X Division Championship matches that were fun to watch. I remember when TNA was doing better than what Impact is doing right now. TNA was worlds better than TNA is right now, and I hate to say that, man. TNA is way better than Impact Wrestling, man. I'll say that. But overall, Impact Wrestling for me gets a 1 out of 10. Like I said, the best thing about Impact Wrestling tonight was when Deonna Purrazzo, the Virtuosa, beat down Su Yung, and then the Undead Bridesmaids came out and they ended up taking the body of Su Yung. That was the best thing about Impact Wrestling tonight. So overall, Impact Wrestling gets a 1 out of 10. If you guys like this Impact Wrestling review, hit that thumbs up, and guys, make sure you subscribe. And thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a good one. This has been your Impact Wrestling review. I will talk to you guys later. Much love from me to you. Your boy's out, man. Peace.